Join us today for the first episode of Live the Grace Life podcast. Today we will have a special guest, Cory Wise, the Headmaster of Byne Christian School. Thank you for tuning in to Live the Grace Life. Live the Grace Life is brought to you by Grace Life Marketing. Welcome to Live the Grace Life. My name is Cory Holman, and today I have with me Mr. Cory Wise with Byne Christian School. And today he's going to be talking with us about the new program that they're offering at Byne Christian School and just kind of telling us about himself. And so I'm going to give it over to you, Mr. Wise. Tell us about yourself and how you got to Byne Christian School.
Well, it was interesting for sure because I came in as a soccer coach back in 2010, I believe it is, and I coached there for a couple of years before turning it over to my son, who had been coaching with Lee County. Never thought I would come back to Byne in any capacity, but Byne started having a desire to make a change from a traditional model to a classical model. My wife had called up there to talk to them about positions and this kind of stuff. They brought her in and found out it was the former pastor who was making, kind of spearheading this change. And she said, well, my husband's had some experience with classical education because we were using classical material and operate more with classical methodology from our homeschooling approach. And then I had a 2-day university model that I brought into Albany and led it for 6 years. And so she said, well, he's had some classical school experience if you'd like to have a cup of coffee and bounce some ideas around. And then next thing you know, here we are. And we've been into it for 3 years now.
3 years. So you started in 2018.
Yes, sir.
Made the shift to a classical Christian model.
Well, the first year we brought in some subject matter and material. So in other words, at that formative level, the grammar level, we brought in Bible and history, some timelines, sing-songs, and that kind of stuff that make memory work a little more fun and easier to retain. Okay. And then at the next level, that logic level, we actually brought in logic. And then at the rhetoric level, we actually brought in a rhetoric class, which is the art of persuasion, both written and spoken. And so that was an introduction. And my idea was that we were going to make a change over the next 3 to 5 years. Okay. But when you start saying change, people start going, well, I'll wait to see the transition. I'll wait and see how it happens. But we decided that even in the middle of an accreditation year that we'd make the change. Okay. And we jumped in with both feet. Okay. Uniform change, everything that we were going to do, 3 to 5 years later, we did the second year. On top of it being accreditation year, and it went off well. Our accreditation team came in, they looked at things, liked our rigor increase, what we were doing, and they left saying that what we sense here is a great connection as far as family. We believe you're poised for growth. Don't lose the family aspect in the midst of it. And that's one of the things we've been striving to hold on to.
And I think you're doing pretty well with that. I've been able to serve and Byne with different events that you all have, and I definitely pick up that vibe in the environment. It's family, it's a loving environment, it's not fake, it's something real and genuine. And that's something that I was just actually talking to Mr. Wise about that I really admire, that because it takes great leadership to be able to lead an organization where you have those genuine connections and conversations and create an environment where everybody feels that when they come into the building. But I do want to ask you some other questions. So how has it been the last 3 years as the headmaster at Byne Christian School?
It's been a journey. It's been a learning experience because, operating a university model 2-day program versus a 5-day program, it's different. And it's boots on deck 5 days a week and a lot more activity and all going on with it. The athletic program, that's not something that our university model had. And so being a part of athletics and going to games and state tournaments and all those kind of things, which, by the way, our girls varsity basketball, they were state champs this past year. Our boys were runner-up in state for varsity basketball and for baseball. Wow. So our athletic programs have been growing, and part of that is because we partner with homeschoolers and allow them to come in and play with us. And so that's been a desire, even several headmasters back, I know, to connect more so with the homeschool community. And with what we're doing now, we're connecting at a deeper level.
So you're saying, now I want to make this clear, so if you have any homeschool kids, they can be a part of the athletic programs at Byne Christian School.
That's correct.
So what's the process? Is it a hard process?
No, it's a simple process. It's just like our students have to fill out the waivers and everything that goes with it, and a medical check and that kind of stuff. They do the same thing, and there's a fee that goes with it. But what you're getting is quality coaches. You're traveling. It's not recreational basketball or volleyball or softball or baseball or soccer or whatever. You're playing at the high school level and the junior varsity level.
That's actually a really great partnership. So if they still wanted to homeschool their kids at home, you can bring your kids to be a part of the athletic program. That's an awesome opportunity there.
Right, and particularly whenever, a couple of years ago, we had a baseball player who was a homeschooler who played baseball with us, was recognized in his abilities, and picked up a scholarship. So those things are out there and helping to make those kind of connections for future endeavors for those homeschoolers.
Okay. So we've heard a little bit about the new programs and the things that's been happening, but let's hear about you. Let's hear about how has your experience been the last 3 years?
Okay. So it's been a wonderful experience for me personally. It's been a growing experience, partly because my background has been in ministry. So I've been pastoring for 27 years, and so moving forward in education at a greater rate, with more responsibility in that area, also put me going back to school. So in the midst of all of this, I've been going to school as well. So I'm pastoring, and I'm also a headmaster, and in a few weeks I'll be done with my master's in educational leadership.
That was fast.
Yes.
That was it a 1-year program?
Well,
2 years?
I've been going during the summers as well too. So,
okay.
So that's one of those things that it would probably have been about 1.5 years, and that I'm getting it all done in. But yes.
Wow. Are you going for your doctorate?
Not planning to. I've had a friend the other day say, "Come on, man, you're already in. You might as well go now." But at this point, I'm not planning on it. But who knows what God opens up? That's one of the things. We want to be available and teachable and faithful.
So one of the things that we were talking about briefly before we started this interview is Mr. Wise's approach towards Byne Christian School is more of a ministry aspect. And I kind of want you to kind of share about that and how you view what you do at Byne Christian School.
Well, we see education to the glory of God as really discipleship. So it's not just about filling a mind with knowledge. It's not just about getting the subject matter out. It's about developing the whole person. And so what I see that we do is we partner with parents in the discipleship process. And so with that partnership, we're helping to create that greater sense of family with parents. Our teaching faculty, they're not there because of the money. They're there because they feel called. They feel like they love students, and first and foremost, they love Jesus. And that's the thing that keeps us centered. So our vision is to train students to know, honor, and worship God in all aspects of life, and to see His handiwork in every subject taught. So where we were using stuff before that our material before would have been like a separate Bible class, separate history class, separate literature class, now those things are intertwined, so they're integrated, and everything that we do, it reflects God. So the God of order and mathematics, and the God of creation and science, and the God who gives us wonderful literature as He reveals His mind to us in the scriptures. And whenever I read these other books, these classics, like The Old Man and the Sea or something like that, how do I interpret it through a biblical lens? And so helping students to grow into that. And then a lot of our Socratic method, the dialogue, the discussion, it just seems to create a greater sense of ownership within the students for their own educational process. And so when that's developing and students are learning and enjoying it and families are being blessed by it, it's ministry. It's doing life together for the glory of God.
So one thing I like that Mr. Wise said is a partnership in the discipleship process. And so I want you to think about maybe a testimony or something that you can share that maybe from a student that has been a part of Byne within the last 3 years that maybe just stands out in terms of talking about the discipleship process that they're experiencing at Byne.
Well, it's wonderful whenever you get to go to their baptisms. That's a testimony in and of itself.
Yeah.
Whenever you're also getting those educational reports, whenever they go off to college and they're sending back that letter. I really didn't like Miss Wise's rhetoric class and all the capstone, but I am acing speech now.
Yeah.
And I'm able to help others because it's so easy for me. Those are the things that you want to hear, that you made a difference. You made a difference in the educational side of things. You made a difference in their spiritual well-being and just becoming well-adjusted students.
Yeah.
Who know how to carry on a conversation, who can look an adult in the face, who can get up and give a presentation without fear and anxiety,
Yeah.
who can walk in who God's called them to be and be confident and able to defend it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful testimonies that are coming forth from parents and students. We started a half-day K-3 program back in January. I was talking to one of our parents who she has a child that's older in the school, and I said, well, what do you think so far? How are you liking it? And she said, well, I only have one problem. I said, what's that? She said, well, I'm disappointed it wasn't here whenever my daughter was young enough, because he's coming home and he's talking about octagons and he's talking about all this at 3 years of age. They're learning and they're growing and they're developing at such a large capacity in a short amount of time. It's like, oh, I just know my daughter would be even further along with the program if that would have been the case back then. Those are the kind of testimonies you want to hear.
So I want to ask you a question. So I'm thinking more, let's say I'm a homeschool parent, and I'm considering putting my child in a, Christian school. A lot of times there are concerns that when kids are homeschooled, sometimes they're not properly prepared for the real world in terms of dealing with, the different things that you have to deal with outside of being, even Christian school. Sometimes we talk about, sometimes when we're just in those Christian circles or those Christian environments, and we have to be placed out in the real world to deal with it.
Socialization.
Yeah. How does Byne help with that and making sure that they're prepared for the real world, not just where they're going in terms of their career path, but just in the real world?
Well, one of the things that is new for us this year, and that Byne has had a desire to partner with homeschoolers in classes and that kind of stuff, not just on the athletic field and on the court, but bringing them into the classroom. But a lot of homeschoolers have not really wanted to come 5 days a week into a program for a certain period of time to take a math class, science class, or whatever. We did have some students who came in, and we do offer that. We ramped it up and offered. I had a student come in last year as an audit opportunity to be a part of drama and loved it. Came 5 days a week because it's something she wanted to do. I had another student come in for the half day because now with the integration with Bible, history, and literature woven together, they came in for humanities. So they were a part-time student at Byne by taking 3 classes in one block schedule for that class. But we decided that we would reach more families, knowing that some really don't want to be there 5 days a week, with Christian classical education, and give them the opportunities for the socialization aspect that a lot of them want by offering a 2-day program. So we're bringing a 2-day program alongside of our 5-day program because parents want options sometimes. And when we can create more options, it also creates more opportunity for ministry, to bring families together at a greater rate, and to build a bridge, if you will, in a greater capacity than what we are already doing with the homeschool community that we value. Because many of them are homeschooling as Christian families who are already like-minded, like-hearted, if you will. And so now there's a bridge between the brick and mortar and what's taking place at home, even in a greater capacity.
So we're talking about this new program that they're doing at Byne Christian School this upcoming school year.
Yes.
So I know most of us are used to the 5-day model. We go to school Monday through Friday. But they have a new opportunity where you can go to school 2 days out of the week. And he kind of just explained a little bit about that, but just share a little bit more about the 2 days.
It's a university model. So like when you go to college, you're taking classes on Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and that means that the rest of your time, you're going to have to balance it. You're going to have to work on your assignments on those days in which you're at home. or, if you were at college on campus. And it's a very similar thing, and you're talking about how do we help prepare students for real world?
Yeah.
Well, they're already getting a taste on that two-day model of some of the things that they'll experience when they go off to college, because they'll have to manage their time and do their assignments outside of class.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I do have another question for you.
Yes,
What
sir.
do you see for the future of Byne Christian School?
Well, I believe we're poised for growth, just like I mentioned before with our accreditation team. I think adding the two-day program, and this is new this year, and I'm just guesstimating, but I believe it's going to really take off alongside of our 5-day. I believe that not only will it be a benefit to our community by having the kind of things that we're offering at Byne, but I believe that Byne and what we're doing can be replicated in other places, that other schools will begin to take notice. Those who are within the GACS that we're accredited through, are those who are connected with ACCS, which we're affiliated with, Association of Classical Christian Schools. So for those who are looking to bridge, through all this pandemic, we've had to look at education again through some new lenses.
Yes.
And it's like, what is this going to look like? How are we going to do education different? And I know that the university model is not different, just like classical education is not different, but bringing these together, creating different opportunities so there's more options for people for what they want to do with their education and spiritual growth.
So I have a question about the two-day model. I know I thought about something, and I'm thinking in the perspective of a parent. So would there be a possibility where if we went with the two-day model, and the student needed to connect with the teacher on the day that just happens to be the day they're working from home, is that a possibility?
So like on the two-day model, my teachers will be teaching in the classroom, like Tuesdays and Thursdays are what we're using.
Okay.
And then on Wednesdays, just like on a college campus, they would have office hours. And so in that office hours, particularly at the grammar level, that younger level, a parent may need to contact and say, okay, well, we were working on this, we had some questions about this part of the assignment or whatever. They're able to get those questions answered. For my older students, they would be able to contact their teacher, talk about that math problem or whatever it is that's kind of giving them an issue right then, and they can continue to move on with their work. So that teacher is available, not 24/7 and those kind of things, but my teacher is available at set times for office hours for their questions.
Okay. All right. That really is a university model.
And then the other side of that is that for some people, they may step into one of the models, and because of family dynamics or whatever, something changes. But because these programs are mirroring one another, if it's more advantageous for me to be a part of the 5-day, even though I started the 2-day and I did that this year, I can move over to the 5-day and I won't skip a beat. Or if I needed to be in the 2-day model and I've been in the 5-day model, because we're doing the same kind of stuff, I can make that kind of change.
Okay.
So there's diversity for it.
So in the same school year, I'll have the option if I wanted to. Or
It's not that we're trying to do that in the same school year.
Okay.
But if there was an emergency type situation, it's not like one group is in chapter 10 and the other group is in chapter 2. And all of a sudden, those things don't correlate. It doesn't correspond for me to switch over. But whenever we're working together and those teaching teams are working together, so now I've created this, we not only have a great dynamic of 5-day teachers as a team, but now we have a 2-day team, and then bringing these teams together so that we're working hand in hand and helping our students get to where they need to be.
Okay. All right. 2-day model. Now I have a question for you, especially being in leadership. You get to see a lot of different things, a lot, especially being in Albany, Georgia. We hear a lot of things about all the problems and all the issues, but there are a lot of good things too. But we're problem solvers. We want to be a part of the solution. So what problems do you believe that Byne Christian School is solving and can solve in Albany, Georgia?
Well, we continue to want to raise the educational bar in Albany, and that's one of the things that we're doing with the rigor through our classical Christian model.
Okay.
Another thing is that we want to saturate the area with the love of Jesus, and we're helping to do that with our Christian school. The other side to that too, like we've been talking about, is the idea of partnering with families, partnering with homeschooling families at a greater level. I think creates more bridges in our community within the educational dynamics from home to, like I said, brick and mortar. And so with that, I think we're working to solve some of the problems or helping to build stronger platforms for growth that moves past the problems.
Okay. I think another problem that would be a part of the solution, I guess, would be that, like you said, partnering in the discipleship process. I've had Christian experience, Christian school experience, but I also had public school experience.
Mm-hmm.
So my last 4 years, I was in a Christian environment, Christian school environment, and so that kind of helped, solidify my relationship. I had the opportunity, to share in chapel, which Byne offers that, and kind of grow in the area of speaking and discipling others and helping others. So I've had that process too. So do students have that opportunity to do that as well?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. And one of the things that we're also trying to create a bridge to is giving opportunity for our students to connect with mentors, for instance, in the business sector.
Yeah.
Those who are interested in maybe entrepreneurship, owning their own business one day, connecting them with a godly member of our community who's successfully running their own business, to be able to glean from them. So we're looking for more of those opportunities. And I think that, again, is developing that well-rounded individual. And, of course, again, developing critical thinkers, deep thinkers, who understand logic, both on the fallacy aspect as well as how to build sound argumentation, developing those who are comfortable with speaking, engaging with others. Those are going to help to turn out better citizens for our community.
Exactly.
And beyond.
Exactly. So as we're getting to the end of this interview, I have one last question for you. If there was a saying, a motto, or anything, what would that model that you live by? What would that statement be, the model that you live by?
The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It really is.
Yeah.
Treat people with respect.
Yes.
Love others.
Yes.
Because you want to be respected and you want to be loved.
All right.
And so it keeps it simple. No need to complicate things.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to share about this upcoming year, something that you're excited about, or?
Well, again, we start August 6th is the first day of school.
All right.
And so it's right around the corner. And so we were busy getting rooms prepped and done and new faculty added and all the training in place. And so, yes, I appreciate your prayers.
We'll be praying.
We're
praying.
excited, and we're believing for a wonderful start.
And you know what? I saw that y'all did like a teacher camp or something. I thought that was pretty awesome to kind of build community within the teachers and the staff.
Yeah, we were really blessed. We've got some friends, Hal and Donna Pinson through the church, and Johnny and Rhonda Dial, and they had properties at the lake that we were able to utilize for our teachers, and got to spend some time on the boat together and hanging out. Again, developing team is not just all about strategy or about techniques. It's about relationship.
Yes.
And we want to feel like we enjoy one another.
Exactly.
Because whenever I can enjoy working with you and you working with me and collaboration is strong, it's going to make for a greater environment for everything.
Everyone.
That's right.
Now, if you didn't get anything, that last piece right there is so important, making sure that we have solid relationships and we're building community. And if you're seeing that from top and senior leadership, it'll naturally just trickle down into the environment. So we're blessed to have Cory Wise today with Byne Christian School. Thank you so much for joining us today for the first broadcast of Live the Grace Life. And we just pray that this bless you. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Live the Grace Life. Live the Grace Life is brought to you by Grace Life Marketing.